Well, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. And today, on the Too Extreme for Mainstream podcast, me being your host, Cynthia Stowers, we are going to be talking about a movie that isn't what you think we're going to be talking about. As you can see by the title, Happiness. Yes, we are going to be talking about happiness because I think this movie has many layers to it, which a lot of people might not get. Now, a lot of people might have heard about this film and have been intrigued to watch it, but then there might be a lot of people out there that haven't heard of this film. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. I never heard of this film until just a few years ago, and it was popping up all the time. And at first, upon reading the synopsis of this movie, which I'm going to read out in a second, I didn't really place it in the too extreme for mainstream category. Because, on this podcast, we talk about a lot of extreme films, like August Underground, Lucifer Valentine films, and so on. So, yeah, this movie did not go in my top 5 or top 10 at the time. But when I found it, I did find it, I bought it, and I did watch it a couple of months ago. And at the time, I mustn't have watched it properly because I didn't really see what people were getting at, but I rewatched it for a second time and really took notice of the film, really took notice of what people were saying in this film, and looked up everything I need to have to look up about this movie, Happiness. Now, like I said, Happiness has a lot of layers to it and I have a lot to say. But before we move on to this, I just want to say that my interview with Jonathan Doe will be coming out. It will probably most likely be in the next episode, so keep an eye out for that. But on this podcast, the next 4 movies I'm going to be talking about in each podcast is A Tale of Two Sisters. I recently bought that from CEX in my local. And yeah, I asked the guys on the counter, do you have any World Cinema, Extreme Cinema? And they knew straight away what I was talking about. So it's quite refreshing to see people in the flesh in my local city know exactly what I'm talking about, because not many people know what I'm talking about when I say too extreme for mainstream. Anyway, I passed my podcast over to the guys and they wrote it down. So if you guys are listening to this, hello. I just wanted to give you a shout out. You were really cool with me that day and I loved every minute of it. Then the next movie we're going to be talking about is Seven. Now, Brad Pitt is in this film and Morgan Freeman. I've seen it many, many times and I've seen it in CEX, so I bought it. It's a fantastic film. It's basically about a serial killer that kills off people in the 7 deadly sins. So that is very interesting. Then we have a classic Takashi Miike Visitor Q, which I'd seen ages ago as well. And I bought it because I've seen it, so why not? And then the next one is Man from Deep River. So we're going to be talking about that as well. That is one movie I haven't seen, and it's been in my collection now for a few months, and this is the point now where I'm able to go through all of my extreme cinema films and pick out a handful at a time and really take my time to watch these movies and talk about them in depth as much as I can without giving too much away. Happiness, on the other hand, is one of those movies where I could explain the whole film, but then it'll give it away. So I am gonna go over as much as I can in this episode, because again, I don't want to give too much away. I want people to actually actively go out and buy this film, support the director and the actors in this, and do the right thing and don't do anything illegal. Go out and buy it. So, without further ado, let's talk about Happiness. Now guys, when you think of the word happiness, what comes to mind? I can read a bit of a definition from Google here, and it says happiness can be defined as an enduring state of mind consisting not only of feelings of joy, contentment and other positive emotions, but also a sense that one's life is meaningful and valued. So that is the definition, the best definition of happiness. For me, happiness is being content with everything around me that's making me happy in the moment. Now, happiness, varies from person to person, is what they see happiness as, but that is just the best definition that I could find. And I think it's important to have happiness in our lives, to not get depressed and, self-isolating and stuff. So, yeah, but that's the definition. Now, well, I bet you weren't thinking of the movie Happiness when you think of happiness. And if you've seen this movie or you know all about it, you know why I asked that question. So, Happiness is a 1998 movie directed by Todd Solondz. I think that's how you say his last name. And it stars quite a few people. So we have Jane Addams, who stars as Joy, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Alan, Dylan Baker as Dr. Maplewood, Lara Flynn Boyle as Helen, Cynthia Stevenson as Trisha, Cameron Maniam, I think that's how you say the name, as Christina, Louise Lasser as Mona Jordan, and then Ben Gazzara as Lenny Jordan. So, there's quite a few actors in this, and one or two of them are related to each other. So, for example, we have Dr. Maplewood and Trish, who are married and they've got a son together, they've got a young baby together, and I'm assuming that Trisha is Joy's sister by the sound of it, because in the film Trisha is sitting down with Joy at the dining table, and she is expressing that the whole family didn't think Joy was going to come out to anything in her life, which I'm going to get into. So we'll have a relationship going there between characters. However, there is a couple of other actors in this which I can't see the connection of being related with each other. It could be that these other characters in this film are just separate characters, and it's just showing you, basically, to me, virtual realities of all of these characters and how they go on their day-to-day activities and how they present themselves to the world and what they want people to see them as, essentially. Now, I'm going to read a definition from IMDb right now, and the genres of this movie goes as comedy and drama. Now, I'm going to go into that in a sec, but this is what the definition from IMDb says. The lives of several individuals intertwine as they go about their lives in their own unique ways, engaging in acts which society as a whole might find disturbing in a desperate search for human connection. Now, when I read comedy and drama on IMDb, I thought straight away after watching it a second time, there is a bit of comedy in there, a bit of humour in the very beginning, but overall, I do not think this movie is humorous in any kind of way, in a way that is actually humorous, like comedic, okay? It is humorous in a way that when you're watching the characters on screen and the things they come out with and the way they act towards a different person, it's laughable. And in society, if we see people like this, we think it's laughable because, yeah, they think they're better than everybody else. And we've got a lot of those in society, let's be honest. Why do you think the name Karen has stuck with a lot of people? She's a Karen, or he's a male Karen. Oh, there's Karen. We see it all the time on social media, like on TikTok, especially these days, where women and men or standing in a parking lot, standing in the middle of a car parking space, holding it for their husband or their wife, so the other person can't park there. That's the Karens I'm talking about. Self-entitled people. That's the humorous part about this film. There is one particular actress in this, Trish, the sister, I'm going to call her, who is very self-entitled, and she comes across very much like, I'm better than you, I'm better than anybody else, and nothing can compare to me. That's how she comes across. So if you dislike people like that much, and it grates on you, like it does with me, you will not like this film. But that's not the only part of this film which really disturbs me to the core. It is the father figure in this film which disturbs me to the core, so much so I had a really bad taste in my mouth after watching this movie, and it's not very often that any movie can get to me at all. But this movie gets to me more of a subconscious, psychological type of way, which I've never experienced before. So it's a new experience for me with these movies, and it's a first, might I add. Now, I'm going to give you a little couple of scenarios in this film, what happens, but I'm not going to give you too much information, but I will give you as much as I can. So in the beginning of the film, we see Joy on a date with Andy, and she's complimenting the food, and, you know, she's asking how many stars it got at this restaurant, and the guy, Andy, turns around and he says 3.5, and the way he said it just made me laugh. So that is a little bit of humour coming through there, which is what I actually quite liked. It was the most awkwardest date on the planet, I would imagine, but it was still kind of funny at the same time. Now, he then proceeded to gift her with an ashtray, and she doesn't smoke, which I thought was, like, he's coming across like, you know, he's saying to her, because he realises that she doesn't want to go out with him anymore. So he's coming across like, well, I'm not going to gift you it because you think I'm shit and everything like this. And yeah, that was pretty funny, I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, I felt bad for her, Joy. And to be honest with you, I did feel sorry for Joy a majority of the time in this film, because, you know, everybody thinks that she's not going to amount to anything. She wants to be a singer, and the family just put her down, essentially. The parents are weird. Let me just say, the parents are weird. But anyway, but then we have Alan, who is a sex-obsessed addict, let's be honest, because the first conversation you hear him, he is talking about how much he wants to bang this woman, and he goes into detail how he wants to do it, and I was just like, what? I mean, if you have problems, fair enough, go and see a psychiatrist, but the psychiatrist he's talking to is Dr. Maplewood. Now, Dr. Maplewood is the husband of Trish, the one that's got the sister Joy. Yeah, that's who it is. He is a psychiatrist helping this guy out with his sex problems, and yet Dr. Maplewood has his own sex problem with... The only thing I'm going to say about this part is it's with children. He's a paedophile, essentially. And, yeah, but he's got his own psychiatrist discussing how he wants to kill everybody. And, you know, he has a vision of him going into a park and killing everyone with, like, a machine gun. Yeah, and the psychiatrist asking him how he feels about it at the end of it, and he's just like... I feel really good of it, but then I'm depressed because I come back down to reality. And I'm just like, you know, like, this movie, when I said it's got a lot of layers, it has. The first layer is like, oh my god. And then the next layer is like, oh my effing god. Like, it just keeps going and going and going, this movie. And in a way, I do like this movie because the director put it in layers, and he gradually built up every character gradually. And I really like that about this film. However, it's not an easy watch, I will say right now. It's not pleasurable to watch this movie. You, most of the time, if you are a sane person like me, who... Now, this sounds contradictory to me because of all the movies I watch, but it's an enjoyable experience to watch this film at the same time. I know that's going to come across really weird, but it was an enjoyable experience to watch it because it opens your eyes to the potential of what people are truly like behind closed doors. That's why I like it. This director has basically put true lives of how people would actually live into a movie. And that's what I loved about it. So again, it's not an easy watch, especially where the Dr. Maplewood character is concerned. It's not an easy watch at all. but anyway, I come across this review, and it's a lengthy review on IMDb. But somebody did put a storyline of this up, so this might be the storyline in the review I'm going to give you. It might be a clear indication of exactly what this film's about for your, pleasure only. And we're going to go into it. So the storyline, reported by Anonymous, states: a woman breaks up with her boyfriend, that's Joy, at the beginning when I was talking about why he gifted her the ashtray, but then he took it back off her, that's that bit. He thinks it's because he's fat. A man is unable to tell her next door neighbour that he finds her sexually attractive. An old couple wants to split up, that's the parents in this, but they don't want to get a divorce. A therapist masturbates to teen magazines, that's Dr. Maplewood. 11-year-old kid is insecure about the fact he hasn't masturbated yet, that's Dr. Maplewood's son. Office workers try to recall the face of a co-worker who recently died. A woman is sure that she has everything she could ever want. The lives of these individuals intertwine as they go about their lives in their own unique ways, engaging in acts which society as a whole might find disturbing in a desperate search for human connection. So that's a good overall picture of what we're talking about in this film today. Now, this review comes from a woman called Shelley, and she rates this movie 8 out of 10. 60 people found it helpful and 15 people didn't. So this is what she calls it: dark brilliance. Now again, this is a lengthy one, so I'm going to read it out for you. So when a film opens with a scene between two people, one breaking up with the other, culminating in the dumped calling the dumper shit, you know you're in for something dark with this film. When the scene is followed by the simple opening titled Happiness, written in pretty cursive writing, you know it's going to be ironic as well. Happiness was written and directed by Todd Solondz, the mind behind the film Welcome to the Dollhouse, a film that was fantastically but really hard to watch if the viewer has any kind of heart. Happiness follows in the same vein, though this time, instead of centering around one character, Solondz puts a New Jersey family at the centre of the film and develops new characters through their relationship with the family. Overseeing the family is Mona Jordan Lasser, the matriarch of the family, who has just been told by her husband that he no longer loves her. Lenny Jordan Gazara, that's the character name and the actor's name, is simply sick of being tied to someone continuously while insisting that there is no one else. Joy is a sincerely employed 30-something single female who is constantly belittled by her family and ignored by society. She is most close to her sister Trish, a stay-at-home mother with 3 kids who likes to say she has it all. Yeah, that's the part that I laughed at. That's the part that I thought was kind of humorous, the Karen of the society. Her husband Bill is a psychiatrist who outwardly appears to be a stoic family man, but is actually a paedophile who, within 5 minutes of the introduction of his character, goes to a convenience store to pick up a teen heartthrob magazine so he can masturbate in the back seat of his car to the pictures of young boys on the cover. The third sister in the family is Helen, an author recently made semi-famous for an angst-ridden publisher diary filled with lies, who has a very high opinion on herself and a way of making others feel badly about themselves while never raising her smooth-ass glass voice or making her jabs obvious. Her neighbour Alan is in love with her, only he is so inept at socialisation and unable to approach her that he attempts to satisfy his desires by first making random obscene phone calls to various women and then making Helen a target herself. Another neighbour, Christina, is an insecure, quiet woman who is constantly trying to befriend Alan, possibly as a love interest. Now, this is giving you the overall broad picture of what this film's all about, so hopefully you're getting the picture. So we're going to move on. Did tell you this was a lengthy one. And I am trying my utmost best, by the way, to read it as slow as I can so I don't miss anything out, because I have a tendency to read fast and miss out certain words or mispronounce words. So it's just the Geordie in me, because I'm from Newcastle, so just bear with me with this. There's a lot of reading on this page, but we're going to move on. There is quite a cast of characters to this assembled picture, and the storylines become intricate and increasingly more complicated as the film progresses. Happiness is filled with excellent character actors. At the top of the list would certainly be Hoffman, but the most compelling character and character portrayal would be Baker's character of Bill Maplewood. Obviously, a film that deals unflinchingly with pedophilia and child rape, particularly under the guise of a dark comedy, is going to be held under closer observation. But even under this scrutiny, Baker's portrayal is obviously flawless. While his character is a monster, Baker is able to provide a human side to it, where I was left thinking he was a terrible man, but also had sympathy for him because he had a sickness. There are not many actors I can think of that would pull off this role as sumptuously as Baker did. Baker was the clear star of the film in my opinion, but the performances of every person in the cast were fantastic as well, particularly the young boy who played Baker's oldest son. As I stated earlier, Happiness is rife with irony because on the surface everyone is miserable. However, it soon becomes relatively clear that this is just how these people are, and each of them, to some extent, are living the life of happiness, as misguided as it may appear to be. Everyone ends up being hurt or disappointed on some level, but they're still together and seem to be satisfied to be in the destructively emotional rut that they are in. Solons, the director, who really has his finger on the pulse in Misery, just like when upon hearing that Stephen King gets inspiration from his books, from his dreams, I was glad that he at least makes millions from being terrified at night. I would hate to get a front row seat in Solon's psyche. Really gives the audience something to chew with Happiness. I loved the chances he took with the subject matter. I loved the performances, and I loved the film as a whole because it was just so damn well done. It's not an easy film to watch, and it's not an entirely pleasant one to watch at times, but it is truly a piece of genius with the way it is intricately put together, envisioning trying to glue tiny shards of crystal into place with tweezers. The characters in Happiness are as fragile as ready. The characters are as fragile and ready to shatter at any moment. Apologies about that. Whether they can see it for themselves or not, 8 out of 10. So, that is a clear picture of Happiness. Again, I couldn't have said it better, if I'm honest, but I just had to come on and do a podcast and briefly talk about Happiness because it was on my mind all day and all day yesterday. And I had the film and I thought, you know what, I haven't really seen many people talk about Happiness at all. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. And so I did it. So, would I recommend this film? A few caution side notes to take in here. If by any chance anyone out there listening to this, maybe if you've suffered child rape in the past, or your child has suffered this in the past, or if you have had a dealing with a paedophile in the past, this film would make you very uncomfortable. I personally haven't had that problem, so I can go in and watch this film with an open mind, if that makes sense, and that's what I try to do. But other than that, I would definitely recommend watching this film, because this is the sort of film that you've got to watch it to say you've seen it, and then once you've seen it, you remember it, because it's such a remembering type of film, memorable type of film, that some of the scenes in this film are so out there that I'm actually surprised that the director got away with releasing this, if I'm honest. But yeah, but it is a film, you know, to go in with an open mind with. Don't think too much about it when you go into watching this film. Yes, listen to this review and take in what I've said, but don't take it in too much because it will put you off the film. I can tell you right now. But yeah, but I suppose it is hard to do so when I've just taught you all about it, I suppose. Well, the person that did the review taught you all about it, not me. But yeah, but I just had to come on and quickly do this podcast and talk about it, like I said. So yeah, so if you have seen this film, please let me know on social media. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this movie? And if you got anything to add to this movie that I haven't said or the review didn't mention, let me know. Or any goofs, any spoilers that I might have missed in the film, let me know. And we will be back on the next episode with the interview with Jonathan Doe from the movie he done, the documentary he done. I'm forgetting the movie now. I've went blank. The Art of Self-Harm. There it is. I got it. So if you're looking forward to that, let me know. But yeah, I'm going to go now, and I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, whatever you might be doing. Please stay safe, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.